Hello, Sand Shark fans, and welcome to another episode of Sand Shark Bites. My name is Mitchell Miegel, the Sports Information Director here at USCB, and we are joined here by the softball coach, Bailey Wigness. Welcome to the show.
Thanks, Mitch. Always a pleasure.
So let's kind of just dive right into it. Open Sun Conference play, not the way you wanted to start, but that's fine. It's a long Sun Conference season. The first game was a little rough, but at least there was a little bit differences, and you got to be a little bit optimistic going from that first game to second game. You go into extra innings. Can you talk about maybe the differences in those two games?
Yeah, I think the first game, I think that's the first time we've seen a lefty all year, so I think that was different. And she threw really well. I mean, we give her a lot of credit. Obviously, we didn't make adjustments as quick as we should have, but going into the second game, I was really proud with the way that we fought. I mean, Warner is a tough team. They have beaten some really good teams this year, and they played great in all three phases of the game. I mean, they played great defense, they pitched extremely well, and they got the hits when they needed to, and that's something that we didn't do. But going into the second game, I was optimistic with just how we fought. I mean, we haven't typically been a great bounce-back team in the past, and so just to bounce back and fight and be in those games on the road was a good sign moving forward. And like you said, there's I think we have 22 more Sun Conference games, so it's a marathon, it's not a sprint, and so we're looking big picture and just going to take kind of some things that we need to adjust from these two games and learn from them and get ready to go.
And then one unique aspect about this week is it's spring break. So you kind of have a little bit more flexibility with your girls. You're doing 2-a-days with the girls and then 4 home games looking ahead. Can you talk about what you can work on in the spring break now that you're doing these 2-a-days?
Yeah, and I think anybody who's been in the low country the last couple weeks has known we've gotten a ton of rain. So we've had, I think, 2.5 full practices on our field the last 3 weeks. So being able to get on the field and have full practices and being able to take some more time to break some things down defensively, offensively, I think it's going to help us moving forward. We really haven't had the opportunity to do that. So just being able to kind of really take some extra time and work on things that we wouldn't normally be able to work on. And the weather is going to be great this week, so we're looking forward to that.
Talk about nice weather. We have 4 home games back-to-back Wednesday and Thursday, Coastal Georgia and Union. Can you talk a little bit about the 2019 regular season champions, Coastal Georgia, and then a little bit about Union as well?
Yeah, Coastal Georgia is a great team. I mean, they graduated one senior last year, so they have the reigning Sun Conference Player of the Year in Paige Alt. She pitches for them and plays third base, and Coastal is they're a very tough team. They pitch great, they play great defense, and they don't explode on offense, but they find ways to hang around and they get the timely hits when they need to. So that's kind of always been their MO, and they've been doing that again this year. Again, they've beaten some really good teams. I mean, every time we play them, it's a tight game, so I expect us to, be in a dogfight with them. But I'm happy we have them in Hardyville to start, and I think they're going to be tough again this year. And then Union. They've always been scrappy teams, so we're looking to just get kind of use those games to kind of fine-tune some things that we need to work on going into the weekend.
That's a team out of the Appalachian Athletic Conference, so it's nice to kind of mix it up a little bit with the non-conference after 4 straight conference games, but then you'll end the week on the road again with Southeastern. Like you said, it's a long dogfight of a Sun Conference. Can you talk about the mentality of going on the road down to South Florida again and playing Southeastern this weekend? Yeah,
so this will be my first time going down to Southeastern, and I think the majority of the team, they haven't been to Southeastern, so it's kind of, okay, what's their feel going to be like? We haven't been there, but, I mean, anytime you go on the road, it's tough. I mean, especially in the Sun Conference. We are so strong from top to bottom, and obviously playing at home gives you an advantage, but we're looking to go down there and, play USCB softball, something that we haven't typically been able to do on the road, and just kind of play our game and get back to who we are. And, again, just going to fight every pitch. And, I still believe that this team is a great team, and I still believe that we can make a run at another Sun Conference title, and we just got to, obviously clean some things up and show it on the field.
Well, we're excited that y'all are back at home. 4 games at home Wednesday and Thursday, 6 games in 4 days. But thank you for stopping by. I know you're going to have a lot of practice Monday and Tuesday, but we're going to step aside. If you can't make the games on Wednesday or Thursday, those games will be streamed on the Sand Shark Game Day Network, so make sure you follow along. We're going to step aside, and we're going to talk with baseball head coach Jeremy Christian here in a couple minutes.
And fins up.
Welcome back to Sand Shark Bikes. Now we're here with the head baseball coach, Jeremy Christian. Thank you for joining us on this busy week.
Man, you're welcome, man. Thanks for having me.
So let's get right to it. Let's break down last week with Bryan and Stratton, a team from Albany, New York, a familiar team. Played them last year, split last year's series. Pitching seemed to be good. I mean, you can look at the box score and kind of pick and choose what you said. Eamon Collins, he did fantastic in the game one on Saturday. Had 9 strikeouts. He was eyeing for his personal record. Can you talk about the pitching? So like Javier Sáenz had another outstanding outing, as well as Brian Ard.
Yeah, no, I thought our pitching was fantastic. The guys did a great job. Eamon was good. He flooded the zone. Breaking stuff was there. His fastball had great control, and he was really good. He had a great outing. And I thought, all in all, our pitching was fantastic. And I can't remember the actual numbers of the actual runs given up over the weekend and the earned runs, but they were really good. Javier Sáenz has been great for us in a relief role, and once TD went down with the elbow issue and is having to rehab for a while, he's going to fill into TD's spot, that kind of that long or the emergency or whatever it may be. But the guy goes in there, throws zeros, and gets a win. And again, Brian Ard is a guy that's been with us since, it seems like the beginning of time, was with me at Point, and just continue to watch him grow and develop over his career. He's been very sharp all year. I mean, he's been really good. And I thought he was lights out. Got pounded in the zone. He mixes pitches, and I thought our pitching staff was really good. Even Copley, our closer, Copley got the loss in the end, but he got a mislicked double, an error, and then had some bad luck behind him. I thought he did a great job. We just didn't play defense behind him. But I thought our pitching staff did a great job all weekend, and they flooded the zone, did exactly what we asked them to do, and a dramatic improvement of last year, definitely.
So one thing that stood out in the lineup from this past weekend, Keith Elmo wasn't at the top of it, and he's nursing an injury. You put Landy Castro up there. He's a multiple tool player. Can you kind of break him down? He's got some speed. He can hit for power, and he's a pretty good outfielder as well.
Yeah, that's a big move for us. Anytime you lose Keith, I mean, that's a big loss. You got to start shortstop, leadoff guy for us. Really a true leader on our team, and that was a difficult loss to bear this week. Without Keith, we don't really have a true leadoff guy that we can slide in that slot. An on-base guy that can get on base, that can move around the bases, that can get deep in counts, really be a spark plug for our offense. I don't really care about batting average in the top. The goal is, can you just get on base? And so we started looking at different opportunities to move some guys around and who kind of fits that role. Lucky is a different type of hitter. He's more of an RBI guy. I mean, he's a traditional 3-4-5 hitter, an RBI guy who can produce runs. However, his on-base potential is good. He doesn't strike out a whole lot. He's a good ball striker. He's surprisingly fast. When you see him, he's a big 6'2", 6'3", 2.25". You wouldn't think he can move, but he moves well. And I guess my thought was, let's just slide the guy up in the one spot, get some fastballs early, and see. We'd had Keith and Tripp and those guys at the top of the order had some RBI opportunities early in the season, and so my thought was, let's move that guy to the top and see if he can get some RBI opportunities as well. And he did. When he had some guys and some RBI slots, he banged them in there, and he's a doubles machine. The guy's going to have, he's got probably 10 doubles by now, a third of the way through the season. But he did a great job moving in there. It doesn't change his philosophy much at all. I still want him getting deep in counts. I still want him to get on base. But when he has an opportunity to drive in and run, he will. And where he might not steal as many bags as Keith, he does bring the double presence to the leadoff spot.
And then kind of elaborating a little bit more, he was getting those walks, and he went 2 for 2 in stolen bases. So he does have the wheels. He is a big guy. He has the big frame that you were saying, but he's also not afraid to take that second and third base. So that's also another thing that you want to see at the top of the lineup as well.
Yeah, he did a great job. I mean, the guys are slowly and surely kind of getting back in our system and buying it. It just takes some time. We have got to play to kind of get some confidence in some of these things. Some of these guys have never ran like this before, and so they're starting to get used to the system. And Luck did a great job. He got some good jumps this weekend, was able to move bases, and it gave us opportunity to score some runs. So I was very pleased with him in the leadoff spot and the changes we had to make in our lineup.
And you said you're excited to play some games. We got a 5-game week coming up for y'all. First road game, Savannah State on Tuesday, followed by St. Andrews. Can you talk about playing a D2 team and then returning back home for a midweek?
Yeah, I mean, we're excited. At this point in time, it wouldn't matter if it was University of Florida. I'm just excited to play. I want to get out there midweek. We haven't played a midweek game since opening week. So you basically go the entire month of February without a midweek game, and we need to play. This is the time of the year. When I looked at our schedule, we had about a 15-game set there where going into spring break where we could play some guys, get some guys some reps, get some guys some more opportunities, and kind of have a better idea about our lineup and our rotations. We move back into conference play this weekend. The problem is that we haven't played those games. We've only played a handful of those games, and so we're still in the same boat as we were 3 weeks ago. So this is a great opportunity for us to play games and get reps, and it also means we've got to move some guys around, and wins or losses here, I've got to see people play as we move into conference play. So we're excited to go to Savannah State. Now, I tried to play Savannah State the past couple of years, but with no luck from a scheduling standpoint. And once they dropped to the Division II level, we were able to get them on the schedule. And they're a very athletic team. First baseman bangs a little bit, and they run like crazy. They push, they drag. They're going to play a similar offensive style as us. We'll catch them midweek as well. So obviously, anytime you go midweek against these clubs, pitching's not always at a premium. It turns to be an offensive and a defensive game. The biggest concern for me is this is our first time on the road. All of our away games have been canceled. So this is a good test for us midweek. Get out there in a local school. It's close to us. It's a fun game. It's an easy trip and get play under the lights. And I'm excited to see those guys, and it's going to be a good test for us. The pitching's going to be okay, but I'm excited to see their offense. They really attack offensively, can push, can drag, and do some things offensively. And then we turn right around with St. Andrews on Wednesday, a team that we're very familiar with from the AAC. And they are a seasoned club, won a bunch of games early in the year. Their offense returns from last year. We split with them last year. Their weekend rotation is very good. And Coach Fox has done a pretty good job of throwing those guys midweek in a bullpen sense. So they'll staff those weekend starters on, each get 25 pitches, throw a couple innings to give their offense a chance to work. So it's an awesome midweek slate for us this week. It's spring break. We can get out there, we can have an extended practice today and really hammer out games the next few days.
And one thing that we talked with Coach Wigness about is it's spring break, so you have a little bit more flexibility with your guys. So you'll be going for a 4-hour practice today on Monday and followed by Thursday. Can you talk about the flexibility that you have with that and the scheduling?
Oh, it's wonderful for a coach. It's a dream. This is the first time we'll have every player there. And that's when you don't have class. We don't have to worry about class times and guys moving in, moving out. So over the past 2 weeks, we've had 2 or 3 practices on the field due to the weather. And so we can have an extended day-to-day, get out there and really work on some things we've got to work on and know that I have everybody there. And that's a huge advantage at this point in time. And again, we'll have game day on Tuesday, game day on Wednesday. We'll turn right around and correct some things on Thursday. But it's nice knowing I've got all my guys in place, and we can have a great practice. We can have all these things done, and we can get better as we prepare for the weekend against St. Thomas.
And then you previewed a little bit about St. Thomas. Originally supposed to be on the schedule earlier in the year, had to postpone it, cancel an Aquinas series. Right. Can you talk a little bit about that, the number 2 team and the latest poll rankings? Can you talk about what you're expecting for Friday and Saturday?
St. Thomas is a great club. George does a great job with those guys. They are number 2 team in the country for a reason. They're good. And their offense is new. He returned some of his arms, but he replaced a lot. Last year their first 2 starters both signed with the Brewers. One with the Brewers, one with the Reds. The second baseman had signed with the Brewers. So they were a really good offensive club last year. Very good, very clean. But that rotation was good. Koppel, I think is his name, the 3 last year. We actually had some really good at-bats against him in Game 3 last year. He's back this year. But he's got 2 arms. Pino, we faced last year, the bullpen, an electric right-hander. And we were fortunate last year. I don't know if he was coming off an injury or it wasn't sharp at the time. We got to him in his relief work and got 3 or 4 runs off of him. But he's dominant. He's a dominant right-hander, and fastball is going to work in the low 9s and above. Secondary stuff is good, and he's sharp, and he's thrown a no-hitter already this year. And his strikeout to walk ratio is something like 9-to-1 or something. But a very dominant right-hander. And then Murphy Andrew is another high-ceiling righty. A guy that struggled a little bit location early in his career, but he lights up the radar gun. He's going to be an upper 9s guy, and consistently he's going to throw some strikeouts. It's going to be a huge challenge for us offensively against this pitching staff. They're good. Offensively, they have some new guys, some new approaches. Their middle infield plays well together. You're going to have some bangers on the corners. The first baseman is a new kid as well. They return some outfield depth. So it's going to be a great test. I enjoy playing St. Thomas. I like, George does a great job with his guys. They play big league. There's not a whole lot of chirping, not a whole lot of talking. And I respect that. He plays it the correct way. The games will be clean. And I enjoy playing against competition of that level. They'll play us on Friday, Saturday, and they'll head to Louisiana on Sunday, and they'll play down on Sunday, Monday, and they go to the box on Tuesday to play LSU. So I'm hoping they're excited about playing LSU and forget about playing USCB.
Well, we appreciate you stopping by and joining.
Sure,
it's a busy week. We know that. So we have a lot of games going on. You have a 5-game week, 4 of those being at home. So if you can't make Wednesdays or Friday, Saturdays games at home, stay tuned for the Sand Shark Game Day Network. Those will go live. But thank you again, Coach. Sure. And this is the latest installment of Sand Shark Bites. Fins up.
Fins up.